Mr. Bonfield,
Yes.
thank you for deciding to choose to be with us today.
Well, I was beginning to wonder because I just had this hold. In fact, I just was about to text Norma and said, I got other things to do. Can you get rid of this hold off my calendar?
Well, we are so delighted that you chose us today and that you have chose us for the last 12 years. So of course, we want to celebrate you in a COVID-friendly kind of way. For your safety and everybody else's safety, we did not want you to leave this organization without having the opportunity to hear from some of your employees. Of course, it's very rare that we're able to get all employees to participate in everything. You have a few employees who are here today that want to salute you in our own special yet COVID-friendly kind of way. So if you would just allow us a few more minutes of your time before you leave this organization, I'm going to turn it over to Timothy. Everybody's been cleared on the ground rules. So Timothy, take it away.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, Carmisha. And we are excited to welcome you, Mr. Thomas Bonfield, to your City of Durham farewell party. Everybody, let's see your hands. Today, we have an opportunity to share with our beloved city manager and give him an opportunity to hear from each one of us our special anecdotes and stories and well wishes as he begins a new career, that of retirement. And so, a point of personal preference, since I have the mic and I have the control, we've got a lineup of wonderful speakers, but I'm going to start with my own story. So mine starts on day one of my employment with the city of Durham, October 29th, 2018. My wonderful boss says, hey, I'm going to take you to the exec team meeting with me. I said, okay. I go up and she says, have a seat right over here to the right. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, okay, sounds good. So Tom walks into the meeting and he looks around the table. He says, and kind of checks everybody there and turns to me, and who are you? And I said, well, I am. And then before I was able to finish my sentence, Regina saved me because she stood up and said, oh, I'd like to introduce everybody to Timothy Howell. He's like, oh, okay. All right. Well, welcome to the organization. And then kind of turned back around. It's like, I didn't know that was like my cue to leave at that point. Regina kind of motioned. She was like, okay, time to go. Like, okay, well, thank you all. Very nice to meet you all. And I look forward to working with you. But I will say this, Tom, from that moment until now, you've been nothing but gracious. You've been nothing but supportive. All the ideas that we came to you with for engagement, for interacting with employees, you've been very supportive of that. And I thank you for that and for your leadership throughout it all.
Thank you, Timothy. I don't remember that day, but I hope it was a little more friendly than that. But I want to tell everybody, if this is going to be another night of another meeting of people telling me about that I was I had poker face, please change the script. I got enough of that Monday night.
Must be true. So while Timothy,
truth hurts.
It's okay. So just want to remind folks who weren't here at the beginning of the call that if you want to give remarks, we ask that you try to keep them brief, but we also ask that you put your name in the chat so that you can be acknowledged. And so, Mr. Bonfield, we've had people signing up for weeks to speak to you. So we're not going to go much longer. So, Timothy?
And I modeled that by keeping it under 2 minutes. So I want everyone to now know. Let's turn it over to Keith Herman, who has graciously said he would speak first. Keith.
When you arrived during August of 2008, I was the interim finance director. The finance department had just relocated to our new home in the annex. You came over for a tour. I gave a brief talk about the responsibilities of the department. I mentioned some of the challenges we were facing, and I introduced you to the other finance managers and supervisors. I concluded my remarks by saying the finance department is fully committed to your success. I quickly learned about your attention to detail because you immediately corrected me. You said, Keith, the finance department shouldn't be committed to my success. The finance department should be committed to our success. So from the very start, you've taught us about teamwork. You've taught us that When we win a game, it's a team win. And that's a great coaching tip, and it's equally true in both baseball and in municipal government. Another great coaching tip is teach more than the game. You've brought that lesson from baseball to everything you've done here in Durham. In addition to changing the organizational structure, and in addition to being data-driven, and in addition to thinking strategically, you went beyond the fundamentals of municipal government. That was just the vehicle you used to teach us about vital skills and virtues. As you leave us, I wanted to let you know that we who remain have become better teammates. We have learned to play by the rules, and we will pull together through these difficult times. We are fully committed to our success. You taught us more than the game. Thank you, Tom.
Keith, thank you so much. I've always enjoyed interacting with you and your creativity, and everything you've done has been first class to make us all look good. I must tell you a story about my first interaction with you, which came actually from afar. I was watching a city council briefing about fund balance when you were the interim finance director, and you were going back and forth with Mayor Bell about whether or not 12% was a good number or not. And I don't remember exactly how it came out and if it was a slip of the tongue or just Keith Herman being Keith Herman, but you said you didn't want the city to go to hell in a handbasket if we were going to go below 12%. And I thought, oh my gosh.
I remember Farad Ali was a council member, and he also had to put in his 2 cents. Someone said later, I can tell my grandkids I went the distance with Ali. All right, very good. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Keith, for that. Thank you.
Thanks,
for
Keith.
stepping up to be first in this opportunity. So now we will turn it over to the person who probably knows the most about you, Tom, and Norma is going to speak.
Oh, wow.
You're muted, Norma.
Okay, I thought you were going to unmute me.
Hi, Norma.
So, Tom, hello.
Hello.
Well, you've already told me not to do the poker face thing, so now I have to come up with something else. However, I think the funny thing is the question I'm asked the most is, how is Tom to work with? And I always am honest with people and say that he's very even keel. You know, I've never heard you raise your voice. I think if I did, I would be really scared. But you are very even keeled and calm and unassuming and just, you know, unpretentious and just down to earth. And that's how you were on the first day. I have to say that, okay, I'm going to say this, even though you said don't say anything about the poker face. But in my interview, I thought, I must be either talking too much or he's just not interested. I said, so what? I have a job in Charlotte anyway. So I left the interview thinking I wasn't going to get the job. But so I was very surprised because you didn't show either way whether you were happy or not happy. And that's how you've been the whole time, which is not a bad thing. But I have enjoyed it. 10 years is a long time that I have worked with you, and it's just been a pleasure. And I'm going to miss you.
Me too, Norma. I'm going to miss you as well. And thank you for putting up with having to see all the pictures of every new picture of my granddaughters. Every time I got a new picture sent to me, I had to rush in and show Norma. It's just like.
She says, oh.
I think I'll call you every morning anyway and say, good morning, Tom.
That'd be good. Long as it's not before 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Thank you,
All
Norma.
right. Thank you, Norma. And Carmisha, who's next?
Donna Maskell.
Hi, Tom.
Hey, Donna. You're my peep.
I know. So I remember back in 2008, I started work here at the city right after you, and you were supposed to come to our new employee orientation, and you never showed up.
I came the first day, and I was so bored I never came back. It was over at Lyon Park.
So I just wanted to thank you for bringing the culture of service to our city. I hope that'll continue after we're gone. And to tell you how much I've enjoyed our brown bag lunch just about every single month. We had a good time having lunch together.
Absolutely.
I hope that'll continue also after we're gone.
Yep, you were one of my faithfuls. Thank you for being there, and best of luck in your retirement as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Next up, we have Deputy City Manager Bo Ferguson. And as Bo gets unmuted, I want to remind folks, if you want to speak, please be sure and put your name in the chat. Thanks.
So because I've been in a few of these sessions honoring Tom and heard all those comments about his poker face, I did plan comments about your poker face, Tom, but my comments were about the fact that those of us who work closely with you probably do get to see a little bit more of your thoughts and emotions and feelings about things. And so with a team of employees on the call, I wanted to share my observations about when that showed through. I'll tell you the time it doesn't show through, and that's when, while we are an incredibly high-performing and successful organization, occasionally employees mess up. Occasionally I've had to bring bad news to Tom or been in the room when Tom got bad news. And as Norma said, Tom never lost his cool. Tom never got upset and showed his frustration. You knew he was frustrated. You knew he wanted things to go better, but Tom never lashed out or passed blame. Tom wanted to know how we were going to fix it, how we were going to put things back together, how we could make sure it didn't happen again. So that's a time when Tom really does keep his emotions to himself. The times I know and can tell when Tom is the most upset is when Durham's had a bad day or a bad weekend. You know, we all know that Durham suffers from some violence it does not deserve and its residents do not deserve. And there are some in the community who may become numb to that, but Tom Bonfield is not one of them. Anytime there has been a spate of violence, a particularly difficult and challenging episode, or just another senseless shooting, you could tell that Tom was coming into the office that day with a burden on his shoulders. And I think that speaks, Tom, to your heart for this community, your belief that this is more than just a job, that you are a member of this community as well as a leader in this community. And I wanted to make sure everybody on this call knew that despite the fact that we continue to struggle with this, I think it has been in your heart and mind throughout your career that this is something that challenges you about Durham and that you want to see fixed. And I think you have been tireless in your efforts to do so. And finally, the time when I see joy on Tom's face the most is when he is sharing stories of life with you and with all of you on this call. Tom around employees is in his element. I've had the pleasure in the operations portfolio to see Tom, especially in large rooms of frontline staff, folks who many of us on this call maybe don't get to see on a regular basis, but who Tom made sure to see on a regular basis. And he loved hearing about their life, their sports teams, their spouses, their kids, and it was genuine and sincere on his part. And so that's the emotion, that's the Tom Bonfield I know. And while I know that people who see him in meetings or see him in formal settings may not see a lot of emotion, I'm delighted that those of us who work closely with him got to see his heart and particularly his heart for the people on this call. And I think, Tom, that's a legacy you leave this organization and leaders who come after you, that the culture of caring for each other that you set. So thank you,
Bo. That's very nice. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Bo, for honoring the time commitment that we made. Really want to acknowledge that in front of everybody. And so I want to give a special shout out. Our next speaker will be Wanda Page, but before Wanda speaks, I want to remind folks, if you want to speak, please put your name in the chat. Don't message us privately, but do put it in the chat. And I want to shout out General Services right now. I'm sitting in the DCM conference room, which is why I'm not wearing a mask. I'm in here alone, so I'm socially distancing just fine. But this room, they've switched our lights to energy efficiency. So if my lighting is changed, it's not the production team, is that I'm sitting in a conference room where the lights have timed out. So Wanda Page, you ready?
I am.
All righty.
Tom.
Hey, Wanda.
Hey, how are you?
All right.
It's my privilege, Tom, to say a few words today to honor your 42 years of public service, 35 of them as a city manager and 12 of them as Durham's city manager. You and I have been in several meetings responding to questions surrounding your upcoming retirement, what will be next for the city, and we have one of those coming up next Wednesday. But today, in the presence of our city family, I simply want to say thank you, Tom. Thank you for leaving sunny Florida and coming to Durham to lead this city government and make Durham, North Carolina home for you and Karen and your family. Without a doubt, you've been a stellar leader in this organization and in this community, and the community is better off because of it. I was here when you came, and sometimes that spot can have a little bit of anxiety attached to it for a deputy city manager. But you made it your business to get to know me as a person. You got to know everybody on the team as people. You have mentored me in leadership. You've allowed me to continue to grow as a professional manager. I've learned a lot from you, and I expect that to serve me well as I assume the role of interim manager next week. Tom, I don't really plan to step into your shoes when you leave at the end of the workday Wednesday, and I come into work Thursday, as I suspect they would be too big for me anyway. But I do plan to use every ounce of experience, the many lessons learned over my career in local government, advice from my mentors, including Tom Bonfield, to be the best leader possible for this organization in this time in history. So take care, enjoy your family time, your vacation time, your new hobbies, your book reading, your book writing, and everything else relaxing and fun you can imagine. And I will see you at the grocery store.
Thank you, Wanda. You've been a wonderful colleague. I'll miss you.
All right. Thank you for those words, Wanda. We are going to keep our program moving along. Next, we will have Deborah Giles, our Director of Equity and Inclusion, who will be coming to us and bringing us remarks now. You've got to press the unmute button. Deborah, there we go.
Thank you.
Hey,
Good
Deborah.
morning.
Hello.
I certainly hope your day is going well. When I looked out and it was raining, it made me feel like an emoji that one of my friends sent me, tears just rolling down the face because you're leaving. And I just want to say that you have been the 5th city manager for whom I've had an opportunity to serve. And so I had a chance to try to think about what really stands out about you in comparison to all of the others. And one of the things that stands out is the fact that you are extremely thorough in all aspects of everything that you do. And what it reminds me of is that I have to always bring my best when I come before you, because I don't know exactly what you're going to say or ask. But when you do, I want to be the person who's able to answer that question. And so I have really appreciated the fact that you have forced me to always want to bring my A game before you when I show up. And so I certainly hope that I've had some opportunities to do that. The other thing that I want to say to you is that you're probably the most courageous. And I say that because I don't know of many who would have been willing to put a focus on equity in the manner in which you've chosen within city government. It's a tough subject. People don't want to deal with issues of racism. And the fact that you had the courage to stand up and push that forward in this city government should reign with me forever. I think many people will say that I've been here too long already and should be following you out of the door. But when I go out, I will have many, many fond memories of you and your service to the city. So I just want to thank you so much for all you've done.
Thank you, Deborah. Those words mean a lot to me, and I appreciate it. I appreciate your work, and I hope that you stick around to keep pushing that ball up the hill.
Okay.
Thank you, Deborah. We heard that acknowledgement that the ball is going up the hill. And we of course will work together to push it with you, Deborah. You're not alone. So good to see you. Next up, we have our one and only public affairs director, Beverly Thompson. Beverly, gonna get you unmuted. Again, while Beverly's getting unmuted, please be sure to put your name in the chat if you want to speak. Not raise a virtual hand. Don't message us directly, but put that in the chat. Thanks much. Take it away, Beverly.
So Tom, it has been an honor and a pleasure to work with you. And I appreciate all the moments we've spent together. But I tell you, one thing that really sticks in my mind is your approach to presenting the budget. Who would have thought a budget presentation could be made fun? Not me. But I have to tell you, some of my fondest memories and most stressful memories were coming up with a topic or a theme for the budget, your budget presentation to the public. Your goal was to make it relevant to the public, and I hope we were successful in many cases, but I'm not really sure, but it was different. I guess the one I liked most was taking it to the streets and Wicked. I don't know if they evoke memories for other people, but they do for me. This year, before COVID came along, we were thinking about how in the world we could pull off Hamilton. But we couldn't envision you wearing the king's outfit and tights and a crown. Okay,
Thank goodness.
We were thinking, how
I knew there was something good about COVID.
But I just want you to know I'm going to miss you so much, and I want you to know too how much I appreciated your sensitivity this time last year when my husband was going through his challenges. It meant more to me than I can ever tell you, because it's the toughest time of my life. But I appreciate your hanging in there with me and being there for me as an employee. I'm going to miss you, and I wish you and your beautiful family, especially your grandkids, and you know how much I love Sable. I love talking about Sable or hearing about Sable, the best, and please stay in touch.
Thank you, Beverly. You've always gone out of your way to make me look good, way better than I deserve, and I really appreciate it. Some of my favorite memories of being with you, Beverly, are whenever we would do the TV productions. Oh. You would have the makeup people in there and make me wear makeup for those daggone TV shows, and I used to get so mad at you about putting all that crap on my face. But I forgive you. But that's one of my favorite memories of just frustrations. Like, why do I have to do this?
I could tell. And
but
then
I was always good to play along and be the foil if I needed to be. But Hamilton dressed up might have been a bit much, so you consider yourself.
You wouldn't have gone for that, huh? Can't blame
you, Beverly.
For trying. Thank you.
Stay in touch. Appreciate it.
I will.
All right. Thank you, Beverly, for that. And thank you for everyone who's spoken thus far. As a reminder, if you wish to speak, please put your name in the chat. It's challenging for us to see hands raised, virtual hands raised, and or if you message us individually. So please put your name in the chat, and we will definitely, either myself or Carmisha will call on you shortly. So next up, we have Sharon Williams, who will be addressing us at this time. Sharon?
Good morning.
Hey, Sharon.
Tom, I have not known you nearly as long as the other people that are on this call. It has only been 5 years as of October, but I have had the opportunity to know you from 2 different departments. The first one being HR. And I will say that Regina did a masterful job preparing me for meetings with you. She told me in advance about the poker face. And she also told me that you better be ready because he's going to have a question that you're not anticipating. So you need to figure out how to anticipate that question. So I became good at trying to anticipate what you were asking me. She even had a whole list of things that we needed to check, like what are other cities doing? Because she knew that that was always a question that you had. So I feel well prepared for that. My memory will be of the time that Beverly interviewed us. I was 1 month into my role in the Equity and Inclusion Department, and the interview took place. And if anyone takes a look at the interview, you see me staring at Tom most of the time, who is talking about equity fluently, but not just fluently, from his heart. He talked about it like he absolutely believed in it, and he was going to move this agenda forward. And so for most of the interview, I'm kind of staring at him at an angle. So if you haven't looked at that video, it's pretty comical. And Deborah reminded me that Tom was great at it. She said he's been a city manager for decades. So he's great at extemporaneous speaking, but she also reminded me that he's talking about what he believes in. That has meant more to me than anything in this role, which was new for the city of Durham. So I will miss that in you, but I know that it's going to Wanda, and she shares that belief system. And so I'm grateful for your paving the way and for that work continuing. Thank you, and all the best as you begin to write your next chapter.
Thank you, Sharon. Sharon, you have a special place in not necessarily my heart, but in my psyche, because I feel like, you know, where were you when the world stopped turning? You literally, I think, were the last person that I was interacting with when we made a presentation at the ICMA Regional Conference. I think it was March the 4th or 5th on a Friday. And you and I did a presentation. There was some notion of this COVID thing around. We were exchanging the microphone back and forth, any notion of hand washing or any notion of masks on or anything else was not anywhere close to what we were thinking about. That evening is when the malware attack happened, and the world stopped turning from that point on. But I'll never forget, how, we were innocently compelled to be talking about all of your great work and our great work in inclusion and equity. And I'm so glad that, nothing has stopped that from continuing. So thank you very much. But I'll always remember how innocent we felt. I felt that day about everything, and what's changed in the last 6 months. Just incredible. So thank you.
So Sharon, it sounds like you were with Mr. Bonfield on the last normal day as we know to be normal. So thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure we all have our memories of what life was, but it's a new day now. And I definitely want to just acknowledge the fact that so many of us have experienced so many things since the beginning of 2020. Unfortunately, we lost loved ones and friends, and there have been celebrities who have lost lives along the way, have been impacted by COVID and a variety of other things. And I just want to acknowledge the fact that I'm grateful that we're all here. And that, as some folks would say, clothed in what many believe to be in their right minds, but as best as we can be. So anyway, I'm glad we're able to have this time together, even though, as I said last week, we didn't have to buy any chicken wing platters, no meatball trays, no cheese tray, no crackers. We don't have to pack up any sheet cake to take home. This party is free. This is Tom's kind of party, you guys, by the way. So.
Well, I was waiting to see where the champagne was going to come into the picture.
Stay tuned, buddy. Your time isn't up just yet. Champagne for some, others will have other choices. So next up, we're going to hear from George Locke. George, you ready?
Hang on, I'm trying to figure out how to work this.
You're working.
Hi, this is George Locke. I'm in the
George.
Public Works Department. Tom, Mr. Bonfield, you and I have had shared a couple elevator rides, and I've come to a couple of your lunch chats, and I just really want to, as a mid-range employee, I've worked for the city since 1999. I was a contractor for about 6 years before that, and I want to thank you for the stability you brought to the city manager's position in the office. We had a couple of other managers before you, and there were a few years when we would cringe when talking with our friends. I would cringe when I was talking with my friends because they were saying, what's going on over there with the city managers? And I haven't had to cringe with you one bit ever. The one memory I have that I really enjoyed when I saw you smile, and I never got to experience your poker face because I've never been that high a level in a conversation, but I was coming up Cleveland Street and you were coming across from the train and Parks and Rec building, and a fire truck came out of the fire department and sirens and lights blaring and everything. And they went around the corner and then they turned the loop and started heading east. And all of a sudden they just turned off their lights, turned off their siren, and came back to the firehouse. And you just we were at the crosswalk and you just kind of looked at me and said, must not have been that important, you know? So I got a sense of your humor from that one incident, but I just want to thank you for your leadership and your time, and hope you enjoy your retirement. Hopefully it'll be only a couple of years behind you. So.
Thank you. Best of luck. I appreciate it. Good to see you.
Blessed.
Thank you.
Thank you, George, for those comments. We appreciate you participating in this event. Again, as a reminder, we want you to put your name in the chat if you would like to speak and be a part of saying farewell to our city manager, Mr. Thomas Bonfield. With that being said, we've now got our Director of Community Development, Mr. Reginald Johnson, who is coming forward. And then after that, we'll have another little special treat.
Uh-oh.
Reginald.
Thank you.
Hey, Reg, you got the haircut.
Yeah, I got my haircut. After 6 months.
Good for you.
Yeah, folks talk about that poker face. I didn't get the poker face relative to my hair.
That you would have gotten it 3 months ago. It's too late. You passed poker, buddy. We love you.
Well, I'm Reginald Johnson. For those who don't know, I'm Director of the Department of Community Development. And I just want to say farewell to Tom and let you know how you have made a difference in my life. And I just want to thank you for that. The first thing, when we first met, I never forget our conversation, and you asked me about, I was a senior assistant to the city manager. Of course, nervous as Carmisha and may have had reference to Wanda. And during that first conversation, you say, well, I'm familiar with Southern University. And I was like, oh, really? And so you talked about, somebody from Pensacola who you knew that was on the council that went to Southern. Of course, that's the background where I am, from Mumford Stadium in Baton Rouge, where I went to school. And from then on, I was like, okay, this guy's gonna be cool right here. But as we got to work together, being the senior assistant to the city manager is not just a professional relationship, it is a personal relationship. I get to see the emotion. And so I just want to thank you for taking an interest in me. I would let everybody know that as I serve as the city's liaison to the DPAC, and I would not be the liaison for Tom appointing me. And he appointed me not because I asked for it, but because he knew that I was interested in the arts, just in terms of casual conversation. And he said that, well, let me appoint somebody who has this interest personally, and they would do a good job. And I hope I have done that. And it's been a joy. And so I just want to thank you for that. The next thing is that I did not ask to be the department director for community development. You saw something in me and asked me to take the helm at the community development department back in 2011. And I just want to thank you for the professional looking in me and seeing things in me. And I just want to thank you for that. And I just want to thank you for being a man of character. One of the things I've enjoyed is not just working for you professionally, you're firm, but also you're a man of character. One of the things I'll just share in kind of cryptic way, I had to ask you a personal question, and you gave me a full answer, and it revealed that while we're going through the Confederate flag discussion now, you put your family at risk years ago over the Confederate flag. And I just want to let you know that how much I appreciate that. and that let me know where you stand. And I really appreciate that, and I love you for it. And like I said, you made a difference in my life, and I thank you for it.
Thank you, Reg. It's been wonderful. Thank you for always having my back, and hopefully you won't be a stranger. I appreciate everything.
All right. Thank you, Reginald. We appreciate those kind words. And again, congratulations on the haircut. I was in a meeting with him just a couple of days ago. So when the picture came up today, I was thinking to myself, who is that? So great times. But it's good that we can all laugh. We can have fun. We want to now just take a pause for a moment. This video that's coming up was shared at the council meeting on this past Monday, but we thought that would be good for all the employees who were not able to participate in that event for them to see the video. We want to thank Public Affairs and Nathan Rittenhouse and everyone's work on this video. But let's show it to everybody now. Andrew.
Thank you.
That is absolutely amazing. I know that the public affairs team put that together, and I hate to miss anybody's name. I think Vivian and Tony and Nathan. Brad's long gone. Nathan.
Nathan Rittenhouse.
And yeah, Nathan Rittenhouse. And I don't know everybody that did it, but I certainly want to salute the team that did it. It made me think, Mr. Bonfield, about so many things. I mean, we've been talking about what's just happened in this year alone, but just to think about the various bond referendums. Of course, the affordable housing bond was the most recent one. Of course, I was on the journey for the prepared meals tax, and then the street repaving referendum, formerly Rolling Hills, now South Side, just all the development that's gone on. Yeah, Reginald, I don't mean to make you, that'll make you pull your hair out, right? But just all the things that the financial crisis that hit, the whole, the country, and of course here in Durham, and just the ups and downs that have been experienced along the way. And so I just think about the fact that you stayed steady throughout that time, and keeping your hand on the wheel, steadying the course. And of course, as a pilot, you have to see what nobody can see, and you're trusting on your sensors and your radars, and you have a great team that helps you in guiding the organization where the plane needs to go. And time after time, you've demonstrated the ability to land the plane safely. Very rarely did we have to kick folks off the plane for belligerent behavior, but you've been able to manage and deal with things along the way. So just another reflection. I'm sorry, that's not not my time.
You're going off script.
I know, going off script here. Just the memories. So Diana Schreiber, as many of you know, is our city clerk, and Diana is queued up to speak next. So Diana, are you unmuted at this point? Oh, now Diana, you're the expert on Zoom.
Yes, I am.
All righty.
Hi, Diana.
Hey there, Tom. Just wanted to give you a goodbye wish and to sort of give you some reflections on how I've seen your leadership over the past 6 years. Prior to coming to Durham, I was at a peer city, and over 6 years, I had worked for 5 different city managers. And so for the most part, when I came here, I really appreciated your direction, your constancy, your no-nonsense management style, and the way at council meetings, how you would urge staff saying, oh, I think we can expand on, this aspect of affordable housing. And it's like you could read the minds of council and know what they were looking for, and that you would prod staff to give you the answers that council was seeking. It was magnificent. So I did want to give you that observation and pass that on. You did it in such a gentle way that you prodded staff, and you were able to get the answers that you knew that council was looking for. I'll always remember your poker face, especially at work sessions where it seemed like we were in just a much more intimate setting. Everyone was so close, and you were able to read the council there. What else? Oh, I remember talking about barbecue with you.
I forgot about that.
And how I was responsible for getting council their meals, and you were always happy when we had the Q Shack barbecue. But I knew, and you said you can't indulge like you used to, and I think we're all there with you. But now you can take some time and take care of yourself, take care of your health, your family, your grandkids. Sable, make sure you update us on your growing family. And I wish you the best in your retirement.
Thanks, Diana. It's been great working with you.
Yeah, take care.
All right. Thank you to our city clerk. We appreciate those kind words. Again, if you are interested in participating in your observations, your musings, your stories, please put your name in the chat and have us a chance to acknowledge you. Thank you, Carmisha, for those warm off-script comments. That's always good for us to know some of the backstory and opportunity that you've shared. We appreciate that. This has been a very challenging year, to say the least. Everybody has a wealth of emotions going on in and around them. So we welcome this opportunity for us to take a small pause and for us to laugh and celebrate one to another with Tom. So thank you all for your continued participation. With that being said, we've got Bertha Johnson next, our Director of Budget Management Services, coming forward with her thoughts.
Thank you, Timothy.
Hey, Bertha.
Tom, I really just want to thank you for all that you've done, not only for the City of Durham organization, but our entire community. And as others have mentioned, how much we've grown as a community. But I also want to thank you for what you've done for me personally and professionally. I have grown so much under your leadership, and I would call it really a mentorship. It seems like just yesterday when you came to the city, and I remember having those direct conversations with you. And I've been so fortunate to spend a lot of time with you, a lot of budget time, now it's grown from October to June. We have attended so many conferences together. I was, able to participate in the Bloomberg Harvard Leadership Initiative for a year going to New York. So I've spent so much time with you, and, sometimes it may not always seem that I'm listening to you because we don't always agree, but at the end of the day, I'm so grateful for your feedback and pushback because it's made me a better person and a better professional. And also I want to say, as Beverly mentioned, the most devastating time in my life when I lost my husband. And I remember that day you and Wanda showing up at my house, being downstairs. And I remember those next few months, going through trying to kick off the budget process and you calling me at home and asking me if I was okay. And then I recall like almost the first week I was back at work, the girls' soccer practice got canceled. And I was in a meeting with you and I didn't have one to pick you up. And you said, and I think Carmisha called me out, and you said, I'll wait here for you. And you stayed in the conference room. I picked the girls up, took them home, and came back, and you were just sitting in the conference room waiting for me. And that's just a testament that what you've done for me, all the time that I've, had to juggle the budget process with my girls. You've always been very, very flexible with me in terms of working with me. You call me, you can just call me on the phone. You don't have to be in the office if you need to leave, or we can just catch up another time. So I just really want to thank you for that. And also, Carmisha mentioned the food. I remember the first budget retreat we had, Carmisha, and we had all this food out. And Tom just turned red. He was like, what? Like, why do we have all of this? We had a full dinner meal. He was like, this is dinner food. This is not lunch. Well, he didn't know our city council and what their expectations were around meals, fried chicken, fish, green beans, the whole works. And so it took him a little while, to partake in that food. But as we know, by the end of the day, that second year, he was really eating like everyone else and asking me, are we going to have fish on Friday doing Lent? So I just appreciate all you've done for me. You've heard me say it before. It's going to be really, really unusual to be, working without you, doing the budget process, executive team, department directors. So I just thanks so much to you. And it's been a treat to work with you. And unfortunately, we all haven't had as much opportunity to work with you, but I'm sure the time that people had, they're very grateful for that as well.
Thank you, Bertha. I've got some wonderful memories of working with budget and the budget staff and you. It's been great. Been some of my most fun times. Thank you.
Thank you, Bertha. And don't stop the meals at the budget meetings, please. Thank you. So thank you again, Bertha, for sharing those remarks. I think at this time, we're going to turn it over to our Deputy City Manager, Keith Chadwell.
Hey, Chad.
Good morning, Tom.
Good morning.
I had just a small measure of hesitancy about participating in this particular forum because they gave the speakers 2 minutes. As we've all come to know, it takes me more than that to say good morning. But I decided to step in anyway, certainly in the spirit of all of these, of all of this level of participation. Tom, I'd say to you in front of all our colleagues, I came to Durham after having had a series of challenging circumstances, and you saw through all that and gave me a chance anyway. Being a high man of faith, I was never ever worried about that, and if there was any confidence that I displayed when we met, it wasn't false. And as a matter of fact, that particular week when that was coming together, 2 other opportunities actually came my way, and I landed in Durham. And then I met you, and I remember having a real interesting conversation with my parents. And they said, which way are you gonna go? It was right after that you called me back for a one-on-one, an opportunity. We got the chance to spend a day together. When I got back to the Marriott, I called my folks, I said, I'm choosing this man. I didn't choose the jurisdiction. I could just tell, both from the standpoint of the quality of the conversation that emanated from it, and some things you said that gave me an opportunity to take a peek at the character. And the character, as Reginald did, is what I want to call upon. You've gotten a lot of accolades, and you've always exhibited knowledge, skills, and abilities, and deserve it so. But to the extent that we call it successful, I've never known in my life, and we've been on this earth around the same amount of time, that no one achieves that level of success that wasn't buttressed just by the quality and character and class of the person. So, and if it didn't have that, the success, the knowledge, and the skills and the matter, it wouldn't matter. It just wouldn't matter without it. So let me conclude by saying, and keeping within the time I have allotted, your time here mattered, and I appreciate you for it.
Thank you so much, Keith. That means a lot. I'll catch up with you, man.
Thank you. I hope so.
In my short time here at the city, going on 2 years now, I must applaud you, Keith, in that adherence to the time frame. So thank you so very much for that.
I'm cooperative, if nothing.
So next we will hear from Director Extraordinaire, I'm trying to get some brownie points here, Director of Human Resources, Ms. Regina Youngblood.
Morning, Tom.
Hey, Regina.
Good afternoon, actually. I wanted to reflect on my interview and a little episode thereafter. During my interview, I was really going on about Lean Six Sigma and process improvement and how I could bring those skills to the organization and elevate the HR operation. And Tom said, "What else you got? Or are you just a one-trick pony?" And in my mind, I said, "No, he didn't." But out loud, I said, "Well, I've got a lot of skills to share, and I can show you if I'm given an opportunity." And Tom gave me that opportunity to bring my skills to the city of Durham. And I have reflected on that moment often in trying to push the envelope and innovate and stay on top of my game, because there is that expectation of excellence that Tom emits just from his aura, that you need to be prepared, you need to bring your A game, you need to do the best that you can for the city of Durham. And so I've often said to people that this is the best place that I've ever worked. I've worked a lot of places, and I mean it. And that is in large part due to you and your leadership, and the fact that you want to be surrounded with people who are effective and effectively working for the city of Durham, and that you are mission driven. And that comes through in the work, and it makes it a great place to work, because you can get behind the mission, you can get behind the leadership, you can respect the leadership. And in my efforts to innovate, one time stuck my neck out and made a recommendation that our council did not like as it related to healthcare. And I had a tough time at the council meeting. It was a tough work session. And from one stone-faced person to another, most people see me as unflappable. But this particular time, I was shaken, I was shook. And I didn't let it show at the council meeting, but I left that council meeting and I called Wanda and I said, "Wanda, I'm about to walk out of here. I'm gonna take a walk and I may not come back." She said, "Hold tight." I don't know what she said, but before I could get out of the office, Tom was walking into my office to calm me down. And I so appreciated that he would take the time to come and sit in one of my wobbly chairs in my office to give me support and encouragement. So thank you.
Thank you, Regina. I actually forgot about that, but now that you mentioned it,
all coming back. Some of these experiences are singed in our memories. Thank you, Regina, for sharing and for your participation and your contributions, of course. And so now we will hear from Rosalie Bocelli and from Durham Parks and Recreation. So Rosalie, are you unmuted?
Yes.
All righty.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Mr. Bonfield. While Carmicha was talking, that reminded me one of the President Lincoln principles. He said, "Take advantage of confusion, desperation, and urgency to exercise strong leadership." While we have been in COVID and the panic came over, the malfunction in the virus of the computers, how the way that you managed the situation was amazing. And I have to say this, you are leaving the city of Durham in good hands because you have a great team. The same way that Beverly Thompson expressed herself regarding her personal situation, I expressed myself also to you and my supervisors. I have been struggling with my husband's illness, but you really has been executed that leadership among all of us. And you really left a little seed in our heart to, before we make decision, before we make a comment, we think twice and be calm and do a wise, statement. And that was something that I learned from President Lincoln principle. Thank you so much, and wishing you the best.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Rosalie. We appreciate that. We appreciate those kind words. Tom, no matter what, I know that if you haven't already, if you haven't packed up the office and taken everything out, maybe you left a few books behind, maybe a duck or two or some other trinkets, I just want to be able to go by and pick up this poker face that everyone is because obviously that has served you well over 42 years. So I just want to make sure that I just grab that, put that on, because emotions are important, but it's also most important to be able to steady the roving and the ranging ship. And so thank you for your continued steadiness of this, especially right now, this ship that's topsy-turvy. I think we might be just on planks, individual planks right now. It looks like I get the chance to introduce all of the HR staff. Now we have our assistant director, Mr. JJ Scott, who is going to come with his remarks.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, JJ.
This is one of those, I always knew that we were going to have to do this, but, you know, it still is such a shock. And as always, getting up in front of you, I managed to get so nervous. But I just wanted to go through a couple of memories. I got to the city just after you did, 11 years ago now. I started my internship here. I know, long time ago. And one of the first memories that I have, you know, the folks over in budget, a good number who are still here, decided to put on a baby shower for my firstborn. And you and Wanda came down and you took part in these crazy games, and my wife was there. And I mean, I hadn't been at the city maybe a year or two at that point. And it was just such a clear picture of like, this is what leaders do. They show up for the big stuff and the small stuff. And I've never forgotten that. And I really, really appreciate it. Another one from the early days, I'm sure you remember the chili cook-offs. So one of the first ones, we asked you to be the judge alone, and you had to have, I don't know, 25 bowls of chili or something. And you did it. You tried each and every one. I'm not saying, you know, the judging was maybe totally authentic at that point, but again, you know, showing up there for all the employees and doing your best, just really left an impact on me. And the last one that I wanted to share, through the years, you've always dropped quotes into some of the presentations that you've done. And anytime I recognized the quote, I thought, oh man, maybe I'm doing something right here. It's something that I share with Tom. But one simple one was that luck is where preparation meets opportunity. And I've always loved that. And I just want to recognize you for helping so many of us generate that luck. You gave us not only the opportunities, but the preparation to succeed. And so that has always made an impact on me. And I just really appreciate everything that you've done. I've never worked anywhere else. I've never had another city manager. You're it. And from what I hear, it's going to be tough to find someone like you. So thank you. Thank you so much for everything.
Thanks, JJ. Very proud of how you progress in this organization. And yeah, there's plenty of good Seneca quotes, but that's one of my favorite.
Thank you.
Thank you, JJ. Just a reminder, for those who want to speak, please put your name in the chat. Do not message us directly, but do put your name in the chat. And we have a lineup going here. So next up, we have Vicki Westbrook. So Vicki, if you are unmuted, this is your opportunity to speak.
Well,
hey, Vicki.
I guess hi, good afternoon. So I appreciate y'all squeezing me in. I messaged Carmisha that I had to leave and get on my flu shot so I could be prepared for the next wave and continue to work with the city. But I did want to express the Department of Water Management's thanks and my personal thanks to your ongoing support for everything that we've done over the past several years. Cheers to you. Drink bottled water. Durham water is the best tasting in the state, and you've helped us celebrate that fact. And just one little tidbit alluding to Timothy's poker face quote. I'm not quite sure if you knew, Mr. Bonfield, that at all those budget meetings, my role was to sit at a strategically located position and watched your face to see if we could pick up any tips on how you were perceiving our requests. And I must say, I never was able to say more than he nodded his head. And there were a couple of times you asked some questions, but you know, that poker face is a killer when you're trying to say, oh yeah, there's a thumbs up for that new initiative. Let's move forward on that one. But thanks again, and we wish you the best in your retirement. Hope you'll stay around here, and I will see you for many more Durham Bulls games.
Thanks, Vicki. Good to see you. Be safe.
Thank you. Thanks, Vicki.
All right. Thank you, Vicki, for that. We appreciate that. And yes, Durham water is the best in the state. So we are drink up. Normally I say that in a different celebratory manner, but right now let's all drink water together. So we have next coming to us, Vivian Cruz O'Doherty, who will come to us live now. Vivian.
Sorry, Tom, I think Vivian just accidentally got out of the call. I was trying to unmute her and she disappeared. Let's try and circle back to her.
Okay, well then we'll just keep right on going. We've got the Director of General Services, Ms. Gina Probst.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Gina.
Hey, I just hopped on a few minutes ago, so I'm so pleased to see you, Tom, and everyone else, and greetings from General Services. I'm not sure if any of my colleagues have had an opportunity to say anything. But I did want to share a few observations and things that I have appreciated about Tom, and some other things. And that is that I think I still am, and here I am talking, and I am still a little bit intimidated sometimes by you. I don't know why. I can't, I mean, I've seen a little bit easing up lately, but it's something. And I think it's just, you know, when you're inspired by someone and you're just like in their awesomeness, that sometimes you can just get a little intimidated. So thank you for all that you've done. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for just being a great leader. I have to say, you know, Tom has that little notebook that he keeps, he takes notes in when you're in meetings, when he comes from behind the curtain and those doors, and he comes into the city manager's conference room and you're sitting there and you're just waiting. He sits there very patiently and he's very quiet and he listens, and he'll ask you like that one question and you're like, gosh, why did he ask me that? How did he know that was the one question that we might not know? But he's just, you know, everyone knows you just you pick up things and know so much. And the numbers, oh my gosh, I don't even want to talk about math with you because you're so good at numbers. But so thank you. Additionally, I wanted to let you know that our team has been thinking about your library, your presidential library, and all the books that you have. And for those that are not swooped up from department directors and designees, we would love to create a lending library in your honor in the city manager's wing or somewhere else in City Hall. We might have a contest. I thought we might call it Tom's Tomes or something like that. Maybe we'll create a little Oprah's Book Club. I mean, not that you're Oprah, but you know, you're kind of up there. And and just to honor you and your years of service and your library of information and your library of books, that we can just continue to honor you. And General Services looks forward to creating that little lending library in your honor. I don't know what it's going to look like,
okay,
but you can come back and borrow a book if you'd like.
Thank you. I've had quite a response to my my book offer. So some people may have to read in return now that I've passed them out, but I still think I probably have about 50 sitting on my conference room table as of yesterday that I need to do something with. So that's interesting. So I need to tell you just a real quick General Services story. Gina, you will remember this, even though you weren't necessarily in the positions at the time. But when I was hired back in 2008 and was going through with the city council what their priorities were, even before I got here, I remember sitting in at my home in Pensacola listening to a council meeting and a work session, and Farad Ali went in the back and called me. Mayor Bell went in the back and called me, because it was a time I think that Mayor Bell was pushing to spend about $1 million for a consultant to teach general services how to deliver capital projects. And Farad wanted to know what I thought about that. And I basically said, I'm not making any decisions about anything till I get there because I don't know. But at the time, one of the council's highest priorities and the community's highest priorities were getting general services project delivery to work better. It was, I don't want to be critical of anybody, but apparently it wasn't working very well for a variety of reasons. I still have the notebook where I wrote those notes down from the council back in 2008 about fix general services project delivery was one of their top 2 or 3 priorities, quite frankly. And I know they spent the $1 million for the consultant. I don't know that you ever really got much value out of that $1 million, but I do know that that you and the general services staff figured out how to fix project delivery. And I got a lot of credit for it, but I had very little to do with it. And I just want to say thank you. That was one of those quiet, you know, again, where I get a lot of credit for things that I really don't do, but it was the general services project delivery team, and you included, that figured that out. And I really, really appreciate it. And it has gone fine-tuned ever since uphill. So thank you.
Thank you. One final thing, word or phrase that I continue to use, and you've used it before and in these times, and I think it fits for anything, that embrace ambiguity. So thank you for passing that along.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Gina's right. And I have to remind myself of that particular quote more and more. Embrace ambiguity. Each day feels rather, you know, ambiguous. One day you wake up, it's 40 degrees. The next day it's 70 degrees. Like what's next? So again, just want to remind folks that if you want to speak, please put your name, in the chat. Before people start logging off, we wanted to schedule this during lunchtime. And so we want to be mindful of your time as well as employee or staff's time. And we do have one other person that that's signed up to speak, and that is Tanya Dautlick, General Services, Keep Durham Beautiful. So Tanya, if you could make yourself unmuted if you're not already.
Hi, Tom.
Hey, Tanya, good to see you.
Yeah, you too. I just want to say thank you for your service and leadership to the city of Durham. And as a city employee, I have appreciated your accessibility. There have been a lot of events that I've been involved with putting on for the public, service projects, fundraisers on behalf of Keep Durham Beautiful. And I've always found you, despite your poker face, to be very approachable, inquisitive, and participatory. And so I just really appreciate that you make yourself available during work hours and during weekends and during evenings to make Durham a better place. So thank you, and I wish you all the best.
Great, thank you very much.
And thank you, Tanya. We appreciate that. I want to put another plea out there for anyone who wants to have an opportunity. We want to make sure you have your opportunity to speak before we kind of close out our wonderful virtual retirement party for today. So if you have an opportunity or you want to speak, please do so.
Hey, Timothy.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I was going to tell the folks, let them in on a little secret. Many people have talked about Tom's poker face. It's not his face. You got to read the eyebrows. That's the secret. You got to read the eyebrows, not the whole face, the eyebrow action. So that's, I hate to tell you that on his way out the door, but I couldn't tell you before, but you got to read the eyebrows. Sorry about that.
You kept that to yourself this whole time?
Well, I mean, we you know, that's part of the work. I can't tell everything. So, and Regina says, and the shoulders too. So Norma said she's never heard him raise his voice, and his thing is what? That's his version of yelling in the workplace. So looks like Amy Blaylock is interested in giving some remarks before we transition. So Timothy, that's okay. We're gonna
That's not a good word, Carmisha.
What's that?
Transition.
Oh, sorry. The new word is pivot.
Thank you.
Pivot. Yeah. Sorry about that.
So Tom, I took off my ball cap for you.
Hello.
So yeah, you get to see the work from home hair.
I just wanted to quickly say it has been a pleasure to work for you for these last 12 years. I remember vividly the process of bringing you on board and doing that press release to announce that you were hired. Some of my favorite memories of working with you, apart from the May budget, was every budget retreat. You would come to me and be like, okay, here's what I want. I want you to find a dozen eggs, but they gotta be brown eggs. And then I want you to find a skillet, and then I want you to find a grasshopper, and then I want a rainbow. I want you to make it make sense in a PowerPoint, and that's what I want. So I've always enjoyed that year after year, working on those budget retreat presentations for you. And then I would just sit in the back while you present it, and I was like, okay, that's how we tied it together.
And that's when I would walk in your office and you'd say, what?
You want to what? But it has been a great pleasure of my career to work for you. I'm going to miss you tremendously and your leadership of our office and our organization. It's been wonderful having such strong, amazing leadership through good times and bad as an employee. I always appreciated that. And I wish you all the best. Enjoy your retirement. Enjoy those grandbabies. You have absolutely earned it. And please, if you have any issues, concerns, or problems, do not tweet at me.
Or call Durham on call.
Thanks, Amy. And thank you for always being willing to stop and drop whatever you were doing when I had to come in and say, Amy, I need your help. Thank you so much.
All right. So we have some more individuals that signed up. So let's hear from Katie Dillard. Katie?
Hi there. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Katie.
I just jumped on, so I hope this won't be too repetitive, but I just wanted to say that when I learned that you started with the city in 2008, I realized that's actually the year that I moved to Durham. And it just seems like good timing that I came when Durham was really having a comeback. And at that time, I can't say that I was that keyed into local government, but now that I've worked for the city, particularly for the city manager's office, and seeing all the decisions that are made, all the leaders and staff that are involved, I just wanted to thank you for your role in making Durham such a great place to live and work. And I hope you have a great retirement, and it's really been a pleasure to work with you.
Feelings mutual. Thank you so much, Katie. Appreciate it.
And shout out to Katie for all the work that she's done in helping to facilitate these virtual events and getting the word to where they need to be. So at this time, we're going to have remarks from Dan Valero, who happens to be the resource person of a very important agenda item right now. So Dan, hopefully this will bring some fun and excitement your way.
Yeah, I kind of dreaded getting back on Zoom after being on it for about 20 cumulative hours so far.
This week?
Yeah, this week.
But you and me both.
Yeah. Mr. Bonfield, I just want to say, there were a few ideas I've had and through Idea Starter, which is actually, I believe, something that you maybe created or at least pushed strongly for. And the culture of service, and man, those things just lined up perfectly with where I wanted us to go as a city. And it was a blessing for me as a person, for our department's culture, and for my career, really, to be able to have somebody so early when I stepped into my position at the city. You came shortly after, really to be as open as you were, to be willing to hear a presentation about something, even when those folks between me and you, the other decision makers along the way, told me things were impossible. When you did give it an audience, you found a way to do things that I don't think any other city in the area was even thinking about. So I mean, I don't know if the employees know how blessed they really were to have your open-mindedness and your forward thinking, but I certainly was aware of it, and I'm worried about what might happen next, but I'm thankful for the many years we've had under your leadership. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dan. That means a lot to me. Appreciate it.
All right, we thank you for those comments. It is amazing, and I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit because we want to thank the team that is working feverishly behind the scenes to make sure we've got everything accomplished for you all. Make sure you're able to unmute yourselves. So Carmisha and I are working seamlessly together, but we've got Andrew Woods from Human Resources. We've got Hannah Watts from Public Affairs. We've got Mario Klein from Public Affairs. So City Manager's Office. So we are very appreciative of their work behind the scenes, and we want to acknowledge that. And then it's funny to pull back the curtain just a little bit more. We've got the Zoom going here, We got a Teams chat going here. And so we're communicating back and forth to make this as smooth as possible. And I want to call out one of the statements that we just made. There's nothing like a last call. We say, hey, we're getting ready to wrap this up. And then here come a slew of names. So we're excited that people are signing up. So again, if you are interested in speaking, please put your name in the chat. We've got Trish Creta is next.
Hi, Tom.
Hey, Trish. Good to
How
see
are
you.
you?
Great.
Good to see you.
Love the earrings.
Thank you. My sister gave them to me. They're my power symbol. So it's really good to see you. I've missed seeing you. And I want to congratulate you on your retirement. You're going to be really missed by a lot of people. I think back on when you and I actually started the very same month, in September 2008, and you were actually at my employee, meet the first employee meeting. So I remember that. So you weren't at Donna's, you were at mine, and I beat you by a month, Donna. And then I don't know, maybe 2009, 2010. I remember seeing you over at General Services, and you were walking up the parking lot and you were like, hey, do you think you might want to hang some art in the hallway up on the second floor? And I don't know if you remember that. So
I got in trouble for that
Gina
too.
agreed to that. I think I did a couple of those. And then I had the privilege of managing the police headquarters project. And I just want to thank you for your leadership on that project, and for the times that I did get to see you during that project, and I lost my dad while that project was going on, and you sent me just such a kind handwritten note that I really appreciated. And then you always asked about my mother when I saw you, and just the conversations that we had when I did see you. I really do appreciate that. That really keeps an employee going, knowing that, that leadership cares. So, and then when we had the opening, your gracious words to General Services and that project, I just wanted to thank you and tell you that I was going to miss you. And that's really good to see you.
Yeah. And all those words were well deserved. And thank you for making us look so good. Good to see you.
Thanks.
All right, we want to thank everybody for their continued participation in this momentous occasion. I want to take a brief moment to highlight again our midday moment that is coming up on this coming Wednesday at noon. We will have our first ever pivot show. See, I'm a quick learner. So we will have our current city manager, Mr. Thomas Bonfield, and our incoming acting city manager, Ms. Wanda Page, both on the show at the same time. So we're excited about that. We want you to tune in on Wednesday at noon. So to come and hear some wonderful stories, some pivot notes, and an opportunity for us to hear from them both. So please be prepared for that on Wednesday. With that being said, we don't want this party to end. So please, in your respective homes, party safely, party responsibly, have a great weekend. But before we end, I'm going to turn my duties over to Carmisha. It's been a pleasure, Tom. Thank you for
allowing Timothy
into your home. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of the city strategy for engagement. I've really appreciated the opportunity to work with you, and I wish you and your family the best of luck in retirement.
Thank you.
And so, Tom, you have heard from just a few of the city employees, and let's give the employees a round of applause for participating, taking time out, sharing their screen. And so, Tom, before we tune off the air, I certainly want to give you an opportunity to share some remarks again for city employees who are listening. And by the way, this is being recorded. Not that you would say anything that cannot be shared later, but I just want to remind folks this is being recorded so that we can reflect on this at a later time. Tom?
Well, thank you. This last couple of weeks has really just been so overwhelming, over the top in terms of the the comments, the accolades, all of what I have received from people all over the community. But truth of the matter is, what I'm hearing from employees today means more to me than anything. I just am so appreciative. It just the little things that people remember. I mean, it's fine about the jokes, but the little things that people remember about my interactions with you, or things that touched you, it just touches me more than I ever could have imagined. I've said time and time again, the thing I'm most proud of anything over the last 12 years is how our organization and how our employees have grown and excelled, and that nothing that has been accomplished for me, or anything that has come my way, would have possibly happened without the work of amazing employees, the most amazing employees I've ever worked with, and the most amazing employees that work for any city in North Carolina, or likely the country. There's many aspects, quite frankly, of the job that I'm not going to miss. But the thing I know I'm going to miss the most is the employees, people on this call. So many of you that I just have come to care so much about are really part of my family, quite frankly, and it's going to be really difficult for me to know that I'm just not going to ever have that kind of relationship and that kind of interaction with so many of you ever again. It's not the same to say I see you in the grocery store, that type of thing, but just how appreciative I am to all of you for your work, certainly, but how you have treated me, how you have respected me, scaringly sometimes, how some of you have waited on every bated breath of every comment I made and felt like you had to run out and respond to that when I was really just making a comment. But just how appreciative I am. I'm going to miss you. I care about you. But the good news is you have each other. The thing I've said time and time again, that my biggest disappointment would be for all that we have built up in the last 12 years to change and go away just because I left. To me, I would feel like that was a failure for me. And so I ask each of you to please stay together. We've built a great capacity. We built a great organization together. The fundamentals are there. The team is in place, and just keep on. I tell you again, some of you know the duck stories, but an early mentor of mine gave me a duck, and if you've been in my office, I have ducks all over the place. And part of that story is that if you look at a duck swimming across the lake, this duck swims across the lake with grace. Eyes are always moving, watching all of the surroundings, and gives the appearance of everything is perfect and calm. But underneath the water, the legs are flapping or moving very, very fast to guide the direction of the duck. And that's something that I've tried to do in my career, and I have used ducks as a symbol of that grace under pressure, but always observant, but always moving forward. So please be safe. Thank you again for this day. It's another wonderful send-off for me. I don't know what else is in store for the next couple of days, but I'll continue to be Carmisha and Norma's foil for whatever is anticipated. But have a great day. Thank you so much, and I love y'all.
Thank you so much, Tom, and thank you for agreeing to play along with us. We appreciate all that you've done, all that I'm sure you will continue to do. So at this time, we're going to ask that Andrew cue the music and allow everybody to be full screen so we can see each other and say our goodbyes as we pivot into our weekend festivities. Thank you so much, Tom. Thanks everybody for participating.